Good morning. My name is Simon Fraser. I'm the Executive Director for AusCham in Vietnam. This morning, I've invited Kendall Draper, who's the first Secretary of Home Affairs. Kendall Draper is the Global Talent Officer responsible for the Southeast Asia region and is based in Singapore. Kendall works closely with the Global Business and Talent Attraction Taskforce and generates leads of the best and brightest minds, high-value businesses for relocation to Australia. She also works in partnership with business and industry sectors, universities, employers, and the Commonwealth and state and territory government partners to proactively identify and attract top talent for streamlined permanent residence through the Global Talent Program. Now, I've previously worked with Nedra Kellett, who was in the position before, and Nedra and I worked across Vietnam for probably the best part of December in 2019, and I believe had some very good results. Now, Nedra's relocated back to Australia, and we're very happy to have Kendall Draper, who's taken over the role. Kendall's now based in Singapore, and she has been there for, I guess, over 12 months now, during a very interesting time for everybody, not just globally, but also in Southeast Asia. And she has a very big job ahead of her. So I thought it'd be a very good idea to talk with Kendall this morning and find out more about what's been happening with the Global Talent Visa Program, and also to see what the future might hold. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Kendall Draper. Good morning, Kendall.
Morning, Simon. Thank you so much. Just double checking that everyone can hear me because I've had some issues with my system. You'd think after 12 months of doing this, I'd be a natural, but that is not the case. But it's a pleasure to be here today, and thank you so much. As Simon mentioned, I am the Global Talent Officer, so I have responsibility for Southeast Asia. And I'm based in Singapore out of the Australian High Commission here. And my role is stakeholder engagement in relation to the Global Talent Visa, which I'll go into a little bit more detail about. And I'll also talk about the Global Business and Talent Attraction Task Force, which was established last year as well, which is a new element to this scheme. So we might go to the slide deck if that's okay, Andy. Thank you, that's great. So we might go to slide 2, and I've got a video here that kind of gives a summary on the program. And please, throughout the presentation, come up with some questions, use the Q&A box, because that's why I'm here. I'm a resource, so any questions you have, please leverage and use me throughout this presentation. So thanks, Andy. I'm not sure that the sound is working on that video at the moment.
Also, the opportunity as an entrepreneur to grow your business here is really very clear and present. Australia encourages people who have exceptional skills. It's very easy for you, for example, to change from industry to academy.
Bring your cutting-edge ideas, expertise and skills to Australia faster with our Global Talent Visas.
One of the advantages of the program that Australia is offering is that it enables you to move your family and have the confidence that you can settle here and get permanent residency.
We'll help you bring your key staff and their families with you.
Sorry guys, I'm going to start again.
I think the sound might be really low. Sorry, Andy. We'll try this one more time, and if not, I'll just kickstart.
Space to develop and lots of opportunities for.
Is it high enough now?
I think that was a bit better, yeah.
Innovative and dynamic people.
Our bold blueprint for future growth makes us the place to kickstart your Australian success story, with access to multiple launchpads, grants and incentives.
The infrastructure, professional development opportunities, and also the opportunity as an entrepreneur to grow your business here is really very clear and present.
Australia encourages people who has exceptional skills. It's very easy for you, for example, to change from industry to academia.
Bring your cutting-edge ideas, expertise and skills to Australia faster with our global talent visas.
One of the advantages of the programs that Australia is offering is that it enables you to move your family and have the confidence that you can settle here and get permanent residency.
We'll help you bring your key staff and their families with you to establish your company's footprint in Australia.
I think that lifestyle, that quality of life, that balance that you can build here is something that I wouldn't change for anything else.
Your entrepreneurial spirit will be part of our pioneering research and future-focused industries.
There's some really great opportunities at the intersection of industry and academics.
There's great work opportunities where you can be really fulfilled professionally. And then there's also a great community of people that are really smart and are really passionate about what they're doing and are just exciting to be around.
There has never been a better time for an Australian adventure. Why wait?
I think coming to Australia has been one of the best decisions that I've ever made. It's been such a growth opportunity for myself and for my career, and I've just loved every minute of it.
Thanks so much for that, Andy. And apologies all for the sound issues. As I said, technology is not my friend today. We might go on to slide 3. Thanks, Andy. So as I mentioned at the start, I'm going to talk a bit about the Global Talent Visa Program, which was mentioned in the video, and also the Global Business and Talent Attraction Taskforce. So Australia, as you're all aware, has emerged as a sought-after destination for both innovative businesses and also professionals. So Australia's Global Talent Visa Program aims to bring highly talented individuals at the top of their field of expertise in one of our 10 target sectors, who are looking to create opportunities by bringing their cutting-edge skills to contribute to Australia's economy through driving innovation and also diversification. So as you can see there on the slide, the target sectors are listed. So they range from resources, agri-food and ag tech, energy, health industries, defence, advanced manufacturing and space, circular economy, digitech, infrastructure, financial services and fintech, and also education. So over time, the Global Talent Visa Program has evolved. So maybe originally when Nidra was in the role, we had 7 sectors. We've now expanded those sectors to 10. And this is to ensure that we're attracting the highest caliber of individuals from those sectors that we most need them and that will best contribute to our growth into the future. So in the first program year of the Global Talent Visa Program, 5,000 visas were available from 2019 to 2020. Last financial year, the government allocated 15,000 places, tripling the program, which is the same number available this program year. So successful individuals can bring both their family unit and have access to Australia's world-class healthcare, work rights and education rights. So the Global Talent Visa Program offers that fast-tracked access to Australian permanent residency for talented individuals and their immediate families. So that could be a partner and any children under the age of 23 years. So successful candidates are provided access to priority visa processing, and on average, 90% of all of our visa applications are finalised within around 4 months. So this is significantly faster than other permanent migration visa pathways, which can take between 12 and 30 months to be finalised. So you might go to the next slide, please, Andy. So now let's look at the eligibility around the Global Talent Visa Program. So to be eligible for this program, candidates must be able to demonstrate that they are skilled in one of the 10 target sectors that I just outlined above. So candidates must be able to provide evidence that they have internationally recognised with evidence of outstanding difficulty obtaining employment or becoming established in Australia, that they can earn or have the capacity to earn what's called the Fair Work High Income Threshold, which is currently 158,500 Australian dollars, And finally, we ask that the candidates be nominated. So that is by an Australian citizen, an Australian permanent resident, or eligible New Zealand citizen, or also an Australian organisation. Nominators must have a national reputation in the same sector as the candidate and be able to attest to both their skills and expertise. So it's a little bit like a formalised letter of recommendation. So unlike sponsored visa programs, your nominator does not have any ongoing obligations towards you. So for example, they do not have to provide you with employment or provide you with assistance to establish yourself. We also have places available to eligible PhD graduates as well, who can demonstrate that their exceptional talent and international recognition in one of our priority sectors. So next we'll look at the process. Thanks, Andy. So to access the Global Talent Visa Program, candidates are required to undertake, it's a two-step process. So the first step on the left there is step 1, and it's called our expression of interest stage. So we ask that candidates submit an expression of interest via the Department of Home Affairs website. This is where you'll provide your evidence and claims that you meet the requirements of the program, which I've just discussed above. This EOI process is free of charge. And then if your EOI is accepted, you'll receive an invitation to apply for fast track processing of a global talent visa application. So the second step to the right is this process that I'm talking about now. So you'll receive invitation codes that can start the application for the visa stage. So we ask that you submit your visa application through what's called our IMI account. The visa application charge is payable at this step, and it is also when you need to provide us with the information about your immediate family members to include in the visa application. So during the visa assessment stage, you'll be asked to provide information to allow the processing team to assess whether you meet both your health, character, and the security criteria, as well as the global talent criteria that I've discussed in more detail. Then if you are granted a global talent visa, you will automatically become an Australian permanent resident. This will enable you and any dependents listed on the visa applicant the right to live, work and study in Australia without restriction for an initial period of 5 years. Australian permanent residency also provides a direct pathway to Australian citizenship. So I will just stay on this slide for now, Andy, but I have a bit of a case study to talk through with you guys, just to give you an example of the type of individuals that we are seeing through the program. And this particular individual is from Vietnam and is in the energy and mining technology space. So this individual is a researcher with expertise in both heat and mass transfer, phase change, and transformation in high temperature systems. They are currently a research associate at the Centre for Iron Marking Materials Research at one of our G08 universities in Australia. They've won numerous education, business and research awards, including from the Japanese Business Association through to Toyota, and also a PhD scholarship. They've also published a number of peer review papers in top international journals and have presented and worked at many international conferences. So that gives you a bit of a sense on how this whole process comes together and the type of individuals that we are looking for. We might go to the next slide. Thanks, Andy. So as I mentioned in the video that showcased at the start, this was the Global Business and Talent Attraction Task Force. So this task force was established in late 2020, and it's building on the intent of the visa program that I've just discussed above. So the task force has been established to help transform Australia into a more powerful magnet for both exceptional talent and also marquee enterprises. So Mr. Peter Verwer is the Prime Minister's Special Envoy for the Global Business and Talent Attraction Task Force, and he is the lead of this task force. So with this task force, we are executing a more aggressive campaign to secure not only the talent, but also companies that can boost our economic recovery. The Global Talent Visa is the core product for the Taskforce and for these exceptionally talented individuals. But the Taskforce is also offering eligible professionals and companies prioritised visas with a streamlined pathway to permanent residency, or the facilitated assistance and relocation of executives, critical staff, and also their families. And they also are providing that opportunity for connections to essential industry and professional networks. And we might go to the next slide. Thanks, Andy. So as I mentioned, my role specifically is to not only assist the individuals who are looking at this Global Talent Visa program, but also to leverage not only my networks, but other people's networks across industry, business, and also academia to promote the Global Talent Visa program and identify talent and facilitate its relocation to Australia as smoothly as possible. I have a number of colleagues located around the world. So at present, we have offices located in London, Washington, San Francisco, Canberra, and I'm forgetting one, Taipei, sorry. And so I guess if you have any further questions, now is a great opportunity for us to have a discussion. But I also ask that you're welcome to visit the globalaustralia.gov.au website, which is on the screen here. I've also included our group mailbox, which is Global Talent Southeast Asia at dfat.gov.au, which please feel free to email at any time and me and the team will get back to you as soon as possible. But I'm also on LinkedIn, and so please feel free to connect with me at any point. So we might leave it there and open it up for questions.
Excellent. Thank you, Kendall. That was it was a great presentation. I think you've probably done a few of these because I think you would be in very high demand at the moment as you know people look towards countries to move to, and obviously take the opportunity of being able to get the visa, be a part of the visa program as well. So I just had a couple of questions myself, and I know that there's quite a few starting to come up in the Q&A box. But you know, when you talk about the target sectors, and obviously in the past, since we were working with Nedra, those you've added another 3 target sectors, I think you said. Is the government actually at this time, you know, sort of, is there any priority for a certain sector, or all sectors are open equally at the moment?
Yeah, all sectors are open equally. So I think we, as the government recognises that the expansion of this program allows for it to be a bit more flexible. I think there's definitely a scale of talent, but in terms of our sectors, they're all treated the same. So there's no sectors above others in that list of 10.
Interesting. It's just I was just thinking that some of these areas could be, you might be inundated with a lot of applicants to one particular area. Is there any sort of, I guess, is there a cutoff where you can only take so many people in an area, or the program's just open to everybody in any sector?
Yeah, that's correct. So we have a program management level, which I mentioned at the start, which is 15,000 visa spaces. So that is that doesn't apply to certain sectors. That's
Okay,
just
good.
for the whole program.
Very good. So as I said, you know, really appreciate the information. It's very obviously delivered very well. Thank you. And the other thing that I wanted to say to everybody is that the information will be available. There will be a recording of this webinar, which will be on our YouTube channel, AusCham's YouTube channel, and also we'll be on Facebook as well. We'll put up all the information and also the presentation. So with some questions, I'm not sure if you can see the Q&A box as well. Okay, so if you want to work through them, obviously there's some Madhu Puliseri has a number of questions for you as well.
Perfect. Okay, well, I'll start with those. So I guess the first question here is, how much time does it take for a response on the EOI? And there's another question about additional documents. So the expression of interest stage at the moment, which is step 1, which was what I spoke about, it on average is taking there's a backlog of up to a year of expression of interest in the pipeline. There is an element which is where I and my team come into play. It's called priority processing from the EOI perspective. So what individuals can do is they can submit their CV, their nominator, and their global talent pitch to the email address that I provided on the last slide, which we'll make sure is accessible, and request that we have a look at your information, and there's a box on the expression of interest where you can list a global talent officer against the application. So this is what happens then is if we say, yes, we're happy for you to list our names on your expression of interest, this will be flagged to the team in Australia and will identify that we've had a conversation and we agree that your EOI should be prioritised above the scale of talent. I will just say that we don't provide pre-assessment, so I can't provide feedback on your expression of interest. I don't actually assess the expressions of interest or the visas, but we have that element where we see a certain skill set that can be assessed above the normal pipeline in the expression of interest stage. In terms of your additional documents, if you have submitted an expression of interest, you are welcome to obviously submit additional documents to provide more evidence against the criteria. We ask that you do that to the globaltalent@homeaffairs.gov.au email address and provide your passport number and your name. The team will not come back to you and provide you a response on whether they've received those additional documents. However, I can note that the team monitors that inbox every minute and it's updated accordingly. So I hope that answers your questions. We might move on to the next one. So we've got one here. How are you sourcing the target innovative companies through the task force? That's a really great question. So as the Global Talent Officer, my main remit is the Global Talent Visa Program and the individual element, so assisting those individuals through that program. However, we do have a team based in Canberra within the task force who is working on that targeting element to look at those innovative companies who may be wishing to relocate to Australia. I will just say that it is quite a high threshold with the task force and they are looking for a significant contribution to Australia's economy. However, in saying that, if you do have a company that may be interested in relocating to Australia and you would like to have a conversation, I'm happy for you to reach out to myself and the team. And we are pretty well connected with AusTrade around the region and also the states and territories and also the task force. So we can explore all of those options and see maybe what is the best fit in terms of visas and relocation and further assistance from an Australian government perspective. Goodness me, these questions are flying. So, do you recommend that global talent prospects use a registered migration agent to assist through the process? That's a really good question as well. So as a government official, I cannot provide specific migration advice or advice based on your individual case. So when I'm having conversations with individuals, I always say that if it's for your specific individual case and it's specific to the migration space, there's no harm in having a migration agent, a registered migration agent. They are very well versed in this program. I will note that our website, which is called the OMARA website, so if you type OMARA into Google, it will come up with a list of registered migration agents. This is a great platform because I can't provide advice around we don't provide referrals on certain migration agents. So I hope that answers your question. We've got a question specific to one of our target sectors around health industries and New South Wales. So I actually work for the Commonwealth Government, and we have a number of information guides on our sectors, which we can provide at the end of this presentation. So that gives you a bit of a sense on the skills and expertise that we're looking for in terms of each of the sectors. In relation to New South Wales specifically, there are a number of state and territory representatives around the region. So I would suggest in maybe connecting with those if you are specifically looking at New South Wales. They would be best placed to answer any questions specifically to that state. I've got a question here about normal processing time. So as I stated at the start of the Q&A around the EOIs, it's taking, that's stage 1, it's taking about a year of the normal pipeline. If you are allocated against a global talent name and receive priority assessment through the expression of interest stage, it can take up to 8 weeks at this point in time. In relation to the visa stage, it is on average 90% of our applications are being processed in about 3 months. So that's permanent residency in about 3 months. So hopefully that one answers your question. So there's a question here about masters. So originally when the program commenced, we did have a master's graduate element to this. We've recognised that we needed to up the intensity of the program. So our program only relates to PhD students now. But in saying that, if you have a master's degree and you have international recognition and outstanding achievements, that doesn't mean that we rule you out completely. That just means you need to be able to demonstrate you against the criteria, but it's not specific to the master's category anymore. There's also a question here on the nominator, which is a really good question. So as I mentioned in the presentation, what we're looking for in a nominator is an Australian citizen, an Australian permanent resident, an eligible New Zealand citizen, or an Australian organisation that has a national reputation in the same sector as you and can attest to your credentials. So I can't provide specific advice or information around certain nominators. We ask the individuals to source their own nominator through their connections to Australia. However, that is kind of the criteria that we look for. So if the nominator that you're looking for, please just follow the criteria I've outlined, and then hopefully that will fit your category. What's this one? Is there an age limit? Very good question. So we don't have an age limit for the Global Talent Visa Program. However, what we do have is that if you are over the age of 55 or under the age of 18, what we ask is, in addition to the criteria, that you outline how you would be an exceptional benefit to Australia. So there's another threshold on top of the criteria if you are over the age of 55 or under the age of 18. So there's a question here about the salary threshold, and does it refer to, well, I think I just lost that one. Sorry, does it refer to the current salary, or could it be the expected salary of a desired position in Australia? So the wording around the Fair Work Income Threshold salary criteria is that you are able to earn or have the capacity to earn the Fair Work Income Threshold. So what the capacity may look like is that you may be able to demonstrate how your skill set applies to certain jobs in Australia and how you may be able to meet that threshold and have the capacity to earn that while living in Australia. There's a lot of questions on specific cases, and I apologise, guys, I'm not in a position to provide advice on your certain individual case. What else? So there's a question here about, can any global talent officer located anywhere take forward a case for a candidate located in Australia? So the way the Global Talent Officer Network works is that I manage Southeast Asia, and including Singapore, of course, and Vietnam. So if you are located in that region, that is my responsibility. If you are located in Australia, we have a Global Talent Officer responsible for Australia. So we ask that you go through that connection, and all of our contact details in our group mailboxes are on the website and are easily accessible. There's a question here about, will there be any information sessions for the general public in Vietnam and other Asian countries? That's a really good question. So in an ideal world, I would love to be in Vietnam right now doing this in person. That would be lovely and amazing. However, that's not the case at this point in time. Next year, I'm really hoping to get on the ground into Vietnam and do a bit more of these sessions. I will just note, though, that we can't just open up. Well, my perspective is that it is a very targeted criteria. So we need to be having the conversations with the right audience. So I would love to come to Vietnam and have a conversations with individuals who are interested in this program, but also meet the criteria. And then more broader across Southeast Asia, absolutely, that would be the ideal goal. So fingers crossed. And then it also says also through other business networks. Absolutely. I'm here to learn as well. So while Simon said I only arrived in Singapore about 12 months ago, I'm looking to every day build my network. And I need individuals who have been through the program, but also business networks to promote the program. They're my biggest asset. So that's that multiplier effect that is so important. So providing this information to you is a starting point for me in Vietnam to be able to trickle out that information about the program. There's a specific question about ag tech, the ag tech sector. So I can provide a little bit of a summary, but we do have our information guides online, which is a really good starting point for individuals in each of our sectors. But for example, in the ag tech space, what we're looking for is the intersection of technological processes and developments in not only traditional agriculture, but at all stages of the food supply chain. So agri-food is closely linked to ag tech, but more directly refers to the expertise and innovation in that industry. So we have a list of skills, examples of skills. So you're not limited to what's on the fact sheet, but it gives you just a good idea on the type of skill sets that we're looking for in each of the sectors. There's another question around the nominator and what kind of organisation can nominate individuals. As I said, it needs to be an Australian organisation. So they may need to, they have an ABN in Australia. They also have a national reputation and are reputable in Australia, but they can also attest to your credentials and are in the same sector as yourself. So there's a lot of questions about specific cases, which unfortunately I'm not in a position to answer those. So there's a question here about COVID-19 and the situation globally and the emergence of the new variant. And, oh, I just lost that one. Sorry. And does that have any impacts on this global talent visa program, including travelling to Australia for the time being? Very good question. COVID has disrupted not this program specifically, but the world. You would all be aware of Australia's position on borders currently and the border restrictions that are in place. However, this global talent visa is permanent residency. So it is Australian PR. So you can now enter Australia if you were granted this visa as an Australian permanent resident. There's a question about specifically around cybersecurity, AI and rail technology. I don't have that information at hand and what kind of industry that would cover, but we do have a broad sector that is referred to as Digitech, and that kind of encompasses everything in the digital technology space. But as I've said, you will need to look at those fact sheets and information guides, and they're a really, really great resource and starting point. Okay, there's a question here about, do I have a case study of an applicant who is not based onshore in Australia? Currently, I don't off the top of my head, but I work with these applicants all the time. So the applicants that I work with are not based in Australia. We also have the Global Australia website, which is the Taskforce website, and there's a recent arrivals page there, which has a number of case studies around individuals who have recently arrived, and we've also got videos and everything like that. So please go and use that website. It's a great resource, and unfortunately I don't have one off the top of my head of a case study, but I work with these people day to day. So there's a question here about an individual asking about the Nominator, which is my #1 question all the time, I must say. And if they are lacking that network in Australia, and if there's a mechanism for the candidate in terms of Nominator and nomination. That's a very, very good question. We do ask that the individuals develop their own networks. So I can't refer anyone to be a suitable nominator, and I can't preference others over other people. We ask that the individual does that themselves. However, in saying that, as I've mentioned, the states and territories are based across the region. There's LinkedIn is a great resource to connect with people and start that conversation. People within your own organisation currently and own employment, it's always a great starting point just to start having that conversation about Australia and build that network yourself. There's a question here about, is there a list of previous nominators? No. And okay, we might leave it there, Simon, unless anyone else has further questions, because the rest there are very specific, which please feel free to email our inbox if you are requesting priority processing. And we can assist with you on that front, either saying yes to provide our name or no, and no feedback is provided through that process on your expression of interest. However, I will note that if we are to say no, not at this time, we don't think you should list our name on your expression of interest, that does not by any means mean that you will not be invited to apply by the department. It's just at this point in time, we're seeing a certain cohort that requires faster processing. Wonderful.
Okay, I think Kendall, you've done a great job. I can hear you really busily scrolling with the mouse there, and I think it's probably overheated. But I think with the number of people online, I think almost every person had an opportunity to ask a question. And the other thing is that, yes, some of them are quite specific. And we will have a list of these questions, and I'm not sure whether or not we could share them with you if you'd make any comment, but we could always, with those questions, we can share them across. If we don't get a response from your department, then we'll just notify the people that we didn't get a response, because everybody was registered for the event today as well, so we know who the people are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, that's why our group mailbox is here. So I have a team that manages that mailbox, and we respond to inquiries as quickly as we possibly can. So please feel free to email us as well.
And that's the thing, you know, most everybody has a specific question which relates to them, and the easiest way, apart from being able to ask very generalist questions during this webinar, is probably to contact you direct, and also the other officers who share the same email address, and then they can respond very quickly. So I think we've gotten through about 30 odd questions. You answered just about every one of them. But apart from that, the information you've shared today is certainly updated from when I first was made aware of the program. And, you know, it's the most up-to-date information that we could have at the moment, and appreciate the video, which is very informative. With technical issues, we did get through it, which is great. But I just wanted to reiterate that a lot of the information we've seen today and we've been talking about will be available after the webinar today on the AusCham website, with all the details on how you can connect with Kendall and her team across Southeast Asia or globally. And also it'll be available on Facebook as well. So the recording will be on YouTube. All those links will be there. So if you go to auschamvn.org or you go to our Facebook page, AusCham Vietnam, you'll be able to access all of that information as well. So I don't have any other closing comments other to say thank you very much to Kendall for your time this morning. It's been very informative, and I think it's like most information sessions, there's more questions than information delivered, and hopefully we'll be able to cover that offline as well. So Kendall, thank you very much, and thank you very much to everybody who's tuned in this morning. I think it was very informative and just created a lot more conversation. And I hope you have a great day, and thank you from AusCham and also from Kendall Draper this morning.
Thank you so much, everyone, and stay safe.